So I wanted to do a quick video and talk a little bit about Joshua, the book of Joshua. I finally finished it, super excited. So I'm adding that to my list of books of the Bible that I've completed before the end of 2019, okay? So I won't delve into everything that I got from the book of Joshua, but I will say that I am trying to be a lot more intentional with my studying of the Bible. I have kind of picked one Bible to just keep using, and I'm taking it from home to work, so that way all of my notes are following me. And I'm also using the Logos Bible software. So be on the lookout for some tutorials about that, because I am like really enjoying it, and I've been like sharing it with everybody that cares to listen. But anyways, Joshua, okay? So as we know, the book of Joshua was a continuation of the children of Israel being led in the wilderness. This was after Moses has died. This is when Joshua was put in place to finish leading the children of Israel. Joshua was responsible from taking word from God and dividing the children of Israel up into their 12 tribes. Now, the one piece that I want to point out in this video is chapter 22, where it begins at verse 10, where the sons of Reuben, the Reuben tribe, they built an altar on the land that they chose, okay? Now, the crazy thing is, from where the sons of Reuben were located with their land, it was separate from the original chosen land that God had for them. But if you go back, if you go back to the book of Numbers, chapter 32, verse 1, it tells the story of how the sons of Reuben kind of got with Moses, and I'll just read it. Hold on. So Numbers 32 verse 1. Numbers 32 verse 1. Say amen if you've all reached Numbers 32 and verse 1. And the section headed in this Bible says, Reuben and Gad settle in Gilead. Now the sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad had an exceedingly large number of livestock. So when they saw the land of Jazer and the land of Gilead, that it was indeed a place suitable for livestock. The sons of Gad and the sons of Reuben came and spoke to Moses and to Eleazar, the priest, and to the leaders of the congregation, saying, Ataroth, Dibon, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Elilah, Le, Sibon, Nebo, and Beon, the land which the Lord conquered before the congregation of Israel is a land for livestock, and your servants have livestock. They said, if we have found favor in your sight, let this land be given to your servants as a possession. Do not take us across the Jordan, right? So don't laugh at me if I pronounce any of those names wrong, okay? God will judge you for that. But anyway, so that is just setting the story for what I'm talking about here. they chose to be outside the land where the rest of the children of Israel, where the rest of the tribes were promised to be, were called to be, right? So the rest of the children of Israel, they find out, now we're back in Joshua chapter 22, starting at verse 10. They find out that the children, or the sons of Reuben, the Reuben tribe, they put up an altar, okay? So of course they're looking at it like, y'all are supposed to be our brothers. Y'all are our family. Y'all are, you know, in the same circle of believers as us. Why would you put up a whole nother altar that is totally separate from the God that we're all supposed to be serving, right? So it's something that I learned when I was little. It was called evil surmising, okay? This is what the rest of the children of Israel were doing to the sons of Reuben, the tribe of Reuben. They were evil surmising because they didn't know what this altar was about. They decided to go and, as they say, run up on them. And they luckily didn't, like, you know, go full force and try to fight them, but they talked it out. And they pretty much, you know, went with the assumption like, y'all are out of line. Like, y'all are already over the line. You didn't want to be in the same land where God called us to be. You wanted to be on your own. And now you're erecting this whole other altar that has nothing to do with our faith. That's the assumption that they went to the sons of Reuben with, okay? So then when it gets down to verse 25, this is where I want to pull out or point out. For the Lord has made the Jordan a border between us and you. This is the rest of the children of Israel talking to the sons of Reuben. You sons of Reuben and sons of Gad, you have no portion in the Lord. So your sons may make our sons stop fearing the Lord. So again, they're evil surmising. They're looking at it like, you're outside of the physical land that we were called to be in. You chose to be outside in this other land. So they just assumed, because of their physical proximity from the rest of the people, they just assumed that they were doing wrong. And don't we do that sometimes? Like, just side note, don't we do that sometimes where we assume that someone's not in church, someone is not looking the way that we feel they should look as a Christian? We just assume, oh, they living in sin. Oh, they going to hell. We got all kinds of like judge robes and gavels, and we're just like judging them straight to a place that we have no rule over. But anyways, back to the story. So later on, the children of Reuben, or the sons of Reuben, pretty much tell them, no, this is not what you think it is. We are doing this because we know we're outside of the chosen land that everyone else, our brothers and sisters, we know that we're separate from you physically, but this is an altar to show you guys, hey, even though we're all the way over here, we're still rocking with you guys. We're still in the same faith zone as you guys. But the thing that I was kind of confused with, in verse 25, where it says, you have no portion in the Lord. I started researching. I'm like, well, what do they mean, you have no portion in the Lord? And so I thought, okay, did something happen with the children, with the sons of Reuben and Gad? Like, did God punish them? But no. So when I did my research, I found that scripture, or, you know, where we just read. Okay, because I just lost my place. Numbers 32, where they wanted to be out there. They chose to be out there. But see, what solidified that bond was them erecting this altar to remind, hey, you guys can see us over here. We're still in faith with you guys. You know, but the lesson, I think, in this section of Joshua, because there were a ton of lessons that you could get from the book of Joshua. One second. There were a ton of lessons that you could get from the book of Joshua there were a ton of lessons that you could get from the children of Israel just in general. They were an interesting bunch. I'll just say that, okay? But the portion thing, the whole portion thing, when I was speaking to a few students at school yesterday and a colleague of mine, another professor, they helped me to understand that portion meant land. So it wasn't saying that the sons of Reuben and the sons of Gad were in sin or God had punished them and pushed them out. It was saying, you know, the children of Israel, when they approached the sons of Reuben and sons of Gad, they were like, I guess in an uproar, like, oh, you guys are so different. You wanted to get in a whole nother land that was not promised. So they were saying you have no portion in the Lord. Portion as in you're not on the land that was originally designated for our people. You're outside of that land. So they just, again, they were evil surmising. They assumed, so our sons, our children are going to come up. They might come over into your land. Your children are proximity wise, like location, land wise, are already separate. So they just assumed, because they were so separate and so far away from the traditional, they just assumed that as their children would come up, they would influence the rest of the children, children of Israel that were coming up in the land that God had designated. And just bringing it back to present day, I don't know, it's like, I think that happens a lot sometimes, where when a person doesn't look like a traditional Christian, we assume, or we might evil surmise, or we might judge, or whatever you want to call it, and we're thinking they're outside of the will of God. We don't know what their relationship with God is. Y'all get what I'm saying? We don't know what their relationship is like. We don't know how many times they've prayed. We don't know what type of fasting they're doing. We don't know that just because they're not around us where we worship and where we show our faith, we don't know that they're not somewhere else doing that. It's like we're judging the outside. And really, I feel like, even though they don't say, if the rest of them would have just waited and paid attention instead of being in such a hoorah like uproar, if they would have just paid attention and watched, they could have saw what that altar was about, instead of evil surmising and just assuming, jumping to conclusions, because we do that. We do that because we know everything. We're so perfect in our faith, so we have the right to judge others. Insert sarcasm, okay? But yeah, so that's just something that I wanted to kind of share, and I would love to hear anyone else's feedback on that, especially the scripture on you have no portion in the Lord. And again, this was Joshua chapter 22, specifically verse 25. And if I could leave everyone with a lesson, or what I got from this, is we cannot judge what it looks like. We shouldn't be judging anyway, but specifically, do not judge what a situation looks like, because more than likely we'll be wrong. We're not God. We're not supposed to be judging anyway. But yeah, so yeah, the children of Israel were a hot mess. So that's just one lesson that I wanted to share. And please, in the comments, you know, you guys have a discussion. Show me something that I didn't see. Give me something extra that I can look at, or things that I can research. And I hope you guys have a very blessed Friday.